You are listening to Acid FM, the last next big thing. This is Part A. Part B contains extended discussions, host-curated music, unfiltered commentary on current events, and more. Part B is available only to Patreon supporters. Go to acidpodfm to become a patron and receive early access to A episodes, full access to premium B episodes, exclusive access to the full Acid FM archive, and membership to the Acid FM Discord community. Thanks for your support. Episode 1, Death Grips. All creation is divine.
Nice.
We're
Send
live.
it.
Acid FM. Episode 1.
Version 3.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, this is gonna be a project. This is the first. I mean, assuming that we don't mess this one up too, this is gonna be the first iteration of an ongoing project where we're looking at. We're going to be looking at a different album or film or book or selected body of work of an artist or just things in art, design, or fashion each week. And then we made the executive decision to go topical and wanted episode 1 to be Death Grips because of the recent, well, it hasn't been confirmed, but there was recent noise online about them potentially disbanding, and this time might be true, might not be, but it seemed like a good starting point for this project. They carry a lot of the traits of the kinds of like projects and works that sort of appeal to me, and I feel like regionally they're from California. They're from the 209.
Represent.
It seemed like a good starting spot, but
Yeah, no, definitely. They are, like I was talking to you about earlier, they're like a group that I've always heard about, and people mention them in passing and tell me I should check them out, and it's never. For some reason, I just never got to it. There's always like that one movie that everybody's seen. They're like, oh, it's like the best movie. And you're like, oh, yeah, I've never seen it. For me, that's the Titanic, by the way. But Death Grips being one of those bands where it's just like, I know they're good and I'm sure they are good. And I found out this past few weeks that they're actually fantastic. But for some reason, I just never listened. And this was a good first choice for us because it gave me a good reason to really dive in. And I'm glad I did.
Maybe Death Grips is like Titanic for me too, because I listened to it too early and got horned up, dog. No, but I feel like I did probably the classic, the classic scene of Titanic, despite not having seen it, the where he like sketches her.
Oh yeah. I mean, you see the memes. Yeah. I've seen enough memes to basically piece together what the movie is.
That probably.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the internet 2025.
Yeah. But yeah, they're Death Grips. It's like it's also I feel like kind of it's taken on the context of like it's kind of one of those things now where it's like everyone who's like cool like can just be like, oh, I've always listened to it or whatever. But like, yeah. Like in all honesty, like, I mean, there was kind of like, there was the people who were in it and like involved in it, like from the beginning. And I think there was like a more like, there's like a whole range of experience that those people had that is just like kind of like cut off from like looking at it as a retrospective. But because they're like, I think one of the things that kind of like made them stand out a little bit is just they were kind of flipping the script on like how I mean, particularly with rap and that style of kind of, I don't even know, particularly with rap, but I think just like music artists in general, like they engaged with their fan base in a way that was like pretty unheard of at the time, and was kind of like, it kind of aligned with this moment of like people were still sort of navigating the waters of how to actually, you know, that people talk about like the parasocial relationships that everyone forms with the content that they're engaged with. And I think they were kind of like an early milestone and like an early benchmark in sort of like carving out what that looks like in a world where everyone has like a smartphone and like yada yada yada. But
looking back at the discography and like kind of what they've done musically and like how relevant it was to culture and maybe how they created some kind of new culture. So they put out Full Moon and Guillotine back in 2011. And I would say around then was like a lot of culture was still kind of grounded to like your local scene. And a lot of that culture has actually just moved on to the internet now. And that kind of happened in like the mid 2010s mostly.
Yeah.
So I feel like they kind of captured that early internet culture energy. Like they were kind of like the apex of that, or at least leading maybe not the apex, but kind of like leading the charge.
It's like
on
back when like Reddit was still
good,
like palatable.
Yeah, back when Reddit wasn't like an insufferable mess and basically astroturfed by bots, but that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, they're kind of like probably one of the more notorious examples of someone having like an actual relationship with their like 4chan following too. Outside of like God. Sam Hyde, it's like basically Sam Hyde and like Death Grips.
Yeah. They kind of captured that like phenomenon of like scenes and culture in general, just moving from the people you knew in real life and like your surrounding area and like your region. They kind of captured that cultural shift online, and it seems like they almost were maybe ahead of their time just a bit.
Yeah, they definitely, like at each kind of like, I mean, you like dig in and you like look at the timeline and kind of like forensically try and piece together like what was happening when. And it's like definitely the common trend is like they're constantly bucking against, I don't know, the framework that people are trying to like put them in, like what, even like on a genre level, even like you can't really call them rap. You can't really like accurately call them noise rock or industrial. It's like so many things, and it's nebulous, and it's a shifting kind of thing. And even just past like the actual content of their production, it's like they're always like bucking against people's expectations, and their history is kind of rife with like that like no show appearances, or like you know, we're gonna do this tour, and then just like pulls out. And then, or did you read about that? I like vaguely remember people talking about this at the time, because I had a friend who was like really into Death Grips like in this moment, like while we were in college. And I liked what I heard at the time, but for me personally, it was like it wasn't until I lived in New York that I feel like I really started to like fuck with and like listen more in depth to what was actually going on in the production, and like listening to their albums in whole. Like I kind of would just get like snippets here and there before that, but yeah. What I started to say was, when did you ever hear of that event where they like posted the fans like suicide letter up at like the backdrop of that? It was like Lollapalooza or something, and then they had like a kid's toy like drum set, and then they were like expected to play, and then pulled out, and we're like, that was the show. Like there's a lot of I mean, there's like a lot of
I'm looking at it right
examples of that throughout the history of the band thus far, or in total. But yeah,
man.
I kind of want to hear.
Yes, I'm actually reading about it on Pitchfork right now. They never planned on actually appearing at that show.
Based.
Oh man, that's wild. Okay,
based anti-art.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I have a very open mind for that kind of stuff too, but I imagine like that that must have just been a funny fuck you in the moment to the people who were kind of frothing at the mouth, like the IRL consumers. Because my only experience, like I basically could have seen them live. I happened to be at that FYF in 2014, but me and the friends I was with, we were kind of like intrigued and like aware of them, but like at that point it was like the end of the night and we literally just like left to instead go get Wingstop. It was like, so we did it to them.
Yeah, they got you, or you got them in that case. Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of, I'm not so like lowbrow to where I like see stuff like that. I'm like, that's fucked up, dog. Like I can digest the artistic intent behind that kind of that impulse and instinct to deprive and kind of like play with people's expectations. I think it makes for a more interesting aesthetic, and they're partly what made them so interesting is that kind of dimension of mysteriousness, and like it just seemed like this like kind of otherworldly, you couldn't really boil it down to a particular region or a particular genre or particular style. And I think to approach some of the moves they made like in the wider culture like that, it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they have quite a few Notorious events, I guess you could call them, under their belt.
Literally.
Yeah. Literally, when you start looking at some of the album art. Yeah, well,
under the belt, over the belt.
Whatever, yeah. You could tuck it in, I don't know. Tuck it in the belt loop. Well, with their ARG that they did as well, for those that don't know what that is, an ARG, I guess, isn't. Some people call it an augmented reality game. Others call it an alternate reality game. I think it doesn't matter as long as you get the point. I think it is. I think it's actually an alternate reality game. Augmented would imply like some kind of visual, like screen overlay. But anyways, so they did an ARG for what was the album? Why am I spacing the album? No Love, Deep Web. And
there's like encrypted files and stuff, and there's like, I remember a part of it is like it had that the like after Trump got elected, the Shia LaBeouf he will not divide us thing. And there was like, it was like a kind of early like pilot of that. There was like part of the game where it like sent people to like a phone booth, and like I would never personally participate in that. I would that's the kind of thing I would like gladly lol at from the sidelines. But
I don't know. I feel like if you were in whatever IRC chat rooms, or this is predating Discord and most of these apps people use to talk now. Whatever chat rooms you were in, I'd imagine the energy is just like incredibly high in there as things are getting torn apart. And
and as the band too, it must be like so fun to just like
exhilarating,
fuel the fucking flames of the
just watching
autists.
from afar. Watching, and
that actually I do like empathize and sympathize with, and because like it's like an early test case for that, like he will not divide us, but it's like an even earlier test case for like basically the Q phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
The kind of like way that they use the internet as like a means to tease this album through like encrypted files and just like all kinds of weird encryption methods. I know there was like some Braille and like base 64 stuff, and I think there's a few others that they used. Some weird ciphers and things like that, and just kind of leaving these breadcrumbs all over the place and getting people to kind of go in this goose chase to find the album. Yeah. And I'm looking at it right now. So I guess it took place over the course of 4 days from August 12th to the 16th in 2012.
What was I doing at that time?
Dude, I don't know. Freshly out of high school for me, a year out of high school for me, and probably just getting high. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you
sounds
were.
about right. Yeah. The way that they went about that, again, kind of circling back to how I was talking about how they kind of predate like the culture shift to the internet, like that at that time, something like that would have probably been very against the grain in terms of how to release an album. Nowadays, I think if a band came out and did an ARG, I would just be like, whatever, just hurry up. You know, and I hate to say it, maybe I'm just jaded.
I need my fucking slop.
Hey man, give me the slop. I need it on Spotify immediately. Slopify immediately. I need it algorithmically fed to me like immediately, please. And then I'll forget about it in a week. No,
Spotify should just change the name to Slopify.
It would be a good April Fool's joke. Some self-awareness. I think it's always funny when tech companies are a little self-aware at how garbage they are.
Yeah. Should we? I want to hear.
Yeah. Let's play some.
Everyone's probably familiar with the memes of just the screenshot from the Guillotine video, but it really, I feel like that song is a good like to kind of understand the vibe and to understand like its inception point. I mean, obviously, ex-military, that was the mixtape that I think technically preceded that, but Guillotine, I feel like it's a good little taster.
Good entry point for sure.
One thing I noticed too, I mean, this is probably obvious to everyone else, but I didn't notice it until like preparing for this, but that sound that here. That being like an actual like the guillotine coming.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, it's probably obvious to everyone else, but then there's like other things in the production where, I mean, I was listening to this as I was running, and it was making me think of like, it's almost like how people describe like NDEs, or like when people have tried to like do like deep research into like, you know, how people say that you're like conscious, like, or like parts of your brain are still like conscious, like the moments after you die.
Yeah.
Like that, some of the production I feel like was like reflecting that. So you hear like the blade chop, and then there's other things that happen where I'm like, oh, this could be like a reflection of the moments directly after the blade falls. And it was kind of getting me into a weird psychedelic headspace when I was running. And I'm assuming this person went to hell. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah,
what does it evoke for you?
It's a little it's pretty raw sounding. I love the use of space.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just kind of how it's not a wall of sound, and there's a lot of space in it. And I know it sounds really cliche to say, but it gives every little impact and bass hit and that the guillotine sound kicking in. It just gives it that much more oomph.
Yeah.
Listening to it, and it really kind of puts you in a trance as well, because it's just kind of this slow pace. What is it? 76 BPM.
Yeah.
Like it's paced really well. And I think, was this the track you were telling me about that they basically threw together the day they decided they were a band?
I don't know if it was.
Was it Guillotine or was it the Full Moon?
Oh yeah, Full Moon, I think, is technically the first like drop. Yeah, I don't know how long they actually worked on it before releasing it, but should we listen to a bit of that one too?
Yeah. Let's pull up Full Moon. Yeah,
go out of sequence a little bit.
Death classic. Yeah, same year.
It's like, in a way, it's a little more straightforward than Guillotine.
Yeah.
It's a little more raw, but yeah, all the elements are still there that they like continue building on through the discography. I think most people listening to this too would just be like totally. I mean, his MC Ride's vocal delivery is like very unique. I mean,
yeah,
nothing really sounds like it. I think throughout their history, that's, you kind of like pick through the reviews of different albums at different times, and there's always like a tranche of commentary. Everyone has takes about, he's evoking the psychosis of a homeless man. He's like, whoa. But it's like,
whoa.
So it's like, what could be said has been said, but I think because it's such a natural, like, that's such a natural jumping off point as you're like listening to them, and it's because it's so prominent and such a even like the approach of kind of like sampling his vocals, like live sampling and using it in kind of a rhythmic way, which is something that they expand on, like definitely in the Money Store. But it's totally very interesting how it kind of, it's like, it's prominent, but it also, at parts, it plays kind of a more textural role in the production.
Yeah. Money Store is a great example of the use of vocals in a non-vocal aspect, almost like instrumentally.
A
lot of that.
Hustle Bones. That's that's the one that like comes to mind immediately for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's,
same.
I mean, it's kind of like a trend like on the whole album, but Hustle Bones, yeah, that one, let's play a bit of that too.
Yeah. That chorus always gets me.
Like that.
Yeah, dude.
Like arpeggiated, like banger.
Yeah, it's a great track.
Bangers.
That's probably the one sticks out to me the most on Money Store is
the end.
Hustle Bones and
the first track on the album, Get Got too. That's probably the first Death Grip song too. That became one in my like constant roto after hearing that. It was always, like I mentioned how I was running when re-listening to some of their stuff recently. That was when I first started like having like a gym routine when I was living in New York. It was like at that time I was either Death Grips or Ye, Kanye West was like that is like all that could get me there and kind of get me out of my thoughts and kind of like get me to a place where I actually felt like I could. There's like a weird physiological effect that
aggro rap.
I felt like I needed, and that was like at a time where I was figuring out, there's like certain kinds of music that you can listen to that like actually can get you there.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of like akin to metal.
Totally.
Metal tends to do that for me and many others, I'm sure.
It was like
some highly aggressive rap will do it as well.
If it wasn't Death Grips or like Yeezus at the time, it was like, it was like punk or black metal was the only stuff that could like get me to where I needed to like mentally go.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I've chilled out more. I can
harsh noise.
I can listen to like lame like New York Times podcasts and stuff. I mean, this is a non sequitur, but recently I've gotten really into kind of like listening to the other side.
Yeah. No, it's good.
The New York Times stuff. Because it's like, at least with the New York Times and like NPR, you can like expect on, there's going to be a certain level of like production quality. But man, I just love hearing their like ice cold takes on Trump and just being like that. I guess that gets me to a different place in my head where as I'm exercising, what fuels me is I'm like hitting the scoff booster.
I scoff at thee.
Yeah, I want to let's hear part of Get Got too. Hard.
Yeah. Sweet little melody that's just like, I know it's repetitive, but I love it. I'm a sucker for like a good melody, even if it's repetitive, and it just drives the point home.
Yeah, that that beat in particular, because I think at the time they had done some like promotional thing with Adult Swim, but that I feel like that beat, I remember it. Maybe it's maybe it's an invented memory, but I remember that, you know, when they would do Adult Swim would have like the bumpers where it's just like the like black screen and white text. Like I remember that beat being used in that way, and I don't know if it's a real memory or not, but to me it always it always had that same vibe, because it would be like something like that or like Flying Lotus or
yeah. Nah, dude, your big television injected that into your brain while you're sleeping. Sorry, dude, that never happened.
Yeah.
Death Grips is definitely, this might be a cringe thing to say, an Adult Swim band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was cool.
That was cool at the time.
That was like the last gasps of Adult Swim having like cultural relevance. Because like, I mean, 2015, they had $1 Million Extreme. I mean, it was for one season, and then Trump got elected, and then they pulled the f***ing ripcord. But there was that kind of cool time where it was. I mean, I think there just wasn't enough reliably interesting things happening on like YouTube in an interesting way to where it's like you still, I don't know, it still seemed like a viable place to kind of get weird, like subversive comedy.
And it was still 2015. That's still what I would call early days of modern internet. Like the appification of everything and going back to that, cultural shift where culture has moved to the internet. Like nowadays you refer to culture in like mimetic forms, and memes primarily drive a lot of what people talk about, or at least ideas, they spread mimetically in meme format, if that doesn't sound too pretentious to say, or if I'm even conveying that properly.
I was just thinking about, no, that's very true. I was just thinking about how embarrassed I am that like so much of my like actual speaking language is like, it's like that meme of when.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude. Everybody now, right? Everybody is like constantly referring to things.
If you don't have like so 20 Vance edits saved to your phone,
you're not online enough if you don't have 20 rare Vances saved in your camera roll, and that's a fact.
Yeah,
love them or hate them. If you don't have some of those edits, you're missing out. They're hilarious. But yeah, it's circling back to what we're talking about. 2015. That's like still early cultural internet shift, and Death Grips is by 2015 they are quite a ways in on their discography. They've got Full Moon out, Guillotine's out, Money Store LP dropped. They've got No Love Deep Web, which happened in 2012. Government Plates 2013. There's been a few singles kind of scattered throughout that time, and then in 2015 you had quite a heavy year for them. You had Fashion Week, Inanimate Sensation, and The Powers That Be. All three of those albums dropping in the same year.
Yeah.
That is like a very, very impressive release rate for a group. And I'm not going to sit here and say everything that they put out in that entire time was like their best work. I'm not a big enough fan to even say I could fairly critique all of their work. And I'm also of the opinion that, art is interpreted by the listener or the one experiencing it.
And them more than like a lot of other acts. There's stuff like what makes it interesting. It's kind of ephemeral. Like it's kind of like of the moment that like, and it's like, it's interesting how they're really like their discography and their timeline is like so compressed, but it is really full and rich, but it creates this weird effect of like, there's like these hyper specific moments where it's like, they're having like multiple drops like in a single year. And I think I would imagine for the people kind of keeping up with the releases in real time, they like know exactly where they were at that moment. And they have a very high fidelity kind of experience of what that particular album had on them in that moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm like that.
It's hard. I really have like tried to like as I've been like listening through everything and be like, I've tried to like put myself in that headspace, but I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm like no longer 20 years old. So like my ability to like even imagine is highly dulled, which is black-pilled, but
sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like I'm just an old head, man.
Yeah, we're officially unk status, so yeah, it's over.
I thought it was there is all these kind of like they have such a like weird lore. Did you see the thing of like there's this famous picture with Death Grips and Beyonce and Robert Pattinson, and then like how like Robert Pattinson he like contributed guitar for Birds on Government Plates.
What the hell?
I don't even know like what part. I mean, here, I want to play a bit of that because I was like, what? It's hard to even like sometimes make out what the guitar contributions in their mix is. Because I know like a longtime collaborator too is the Nick Steinhardt, I think is his name, from Terra Mellows, who I like used to love that band in high school. But it's again like the vocals, like so much of like what they do. It's this kind of like discombobulating like digital fabric that they weave, and it's like to like isolate any particular part of the mix is almost to kind of like sacrifice what the listening experience actually is in a lot of ways. Or that's just me taking the easy way out from forming an opinion that makes sense.
I don't know how to feel about this. So
yeah. No one told me what to think, so I don't think anything.
I have no strong feeling about it whatsoever.
I imagine it's this.
Yeah, likely.
I just thought of a weird, interesting parallel. Did you see the most recent Miyazaki? It's called The Boy and the Heron.
No, I did not.
In the English dub, Robert Pattinson plays the voice of the bird, the heron.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting parallel because the song's called Birds and he contributes the guitar. Yeah. Yeah. What can one say?
So unfortunately, that album was kind of the one that I kind of just, my ears didn't really latch onto as much.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I was saying earlier, I'm not one to be a hater. If I don't like something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Just sometimes things just don't click for certain people. I don't think you'll ever hear me on this podcast say something is like bad objectively. Mm-hmm. Subjectively, I may dislike it, but I don't think it's ever fair to say that something sucks. Yeah. At least in the world of art, there's somebody that's going to find some value in it, and I think that's cool. Government Plates didn't do a whole lot for me personally. I did kind of enjoy Whatever I Want, the last track, but again, it's the album itself was nothing to write home for me, at least. What did really kind of catch me in the kind of earlier discography was Lock Your Doors on No Love Deep Web.
Oh, yeah. Let's play
that. Was
that.
That was another track that like that alongside with like I've Seen Footage from the Money Store, and Lock Your Doors on No Love Deep Web are two of the tracks that were just earworms for me, man. I was just repeat listening to those.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, it's hard for me. I'm kind of trying to develop the muscle too of like picking out particular tracks too that really speak to me. Cause when I do listen to I'm so not like a singles type person. Like it's like when I'm sitting down to listen to something, my impulse is to listen to the album start to finish. And it also prevents me from like, listening to things as thoroughly as I like. Because if that's your impulse, that's an impulse that will constantly get fucking interrupted unless you just have endless time to like sit and listen to full albums. But I feel like since living in Seattle though too, I've also been listening to a lot of the radio when I'm driving, because we have KEXP here, and it's like some of the DJs I actually really like. So I'm kind of like developing a practice of embracing the single, embracing the individual track. But I feel like a lot of like what a lot of the potency that's derived from Death Grips and the statements that they're making is kind of it almost is, to me, requires that kind of concerted effort and that thoughtful album level consumption. But
oh yeah, I'm also the album guy. I don't know if it's just old man yelling at clouds moment for me, but I think the social media thing has turned a lot of. I mean, I always disliked singles kind of driving popularity for artists, like.
Yeah.
And I think the social media thing took it from singles down to like 10-second clips, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So now it's like people just know a song by like the 10-second clip of it being played over like a TikTok meme.
I know.
And it's so, I probably just sound like old guy yelling at cloud here, but it is just, and I don't want to say subjected to it, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like it hasn't gotten me yet. You're sitting there scrolling Instagram reels and you hear the same like 12-second clip of a popular song playing over like a pretty funny meme.
Yeah.
And it gets you. I'm not going to say it doesn't.
Little
It
Dark
definitely gets
Age.
you.
Little Dark
Like what?
Age. Like Little Dark Age with Hyperborean edits. Yeah.
Or the Mr. Kitty After Dark.
Oh, what's that one?
Dude, you have to know that one.
I probably do.
You do.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah, it's the it's the meme with like, what's his name? The wrestler guy that died. Oh, I'm spacing out.
Bret Hart.
I should. Huh?
Is it Bret Hart?
No. It's similar to like the Little Dark Age stuff, but it was like oh my gosh, Billy Harrington edit with the guy that's like smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer at the bar. And it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the red tint. He's like in a gay bar.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I see that shit, I laugh too. So yeah, guilty. I get it. And that song, that clip, those memes got me, and I ended up actually listening to the whole song and really, really enjoying the song. And then became a Mr. Kitty fan. But
I didn't even realize he was like an actual guy. I just assumed it was like a clip from gay porn.
No, that meme actually caused me to like look into the lore of that. And I guess he was like a American model and a pornographic film actor.
Oh, see, good guess.
So yeah, you were pretty close. Yeah, I would say you
I'm
were on it.
Damn, I'm good.
He said, I guess he was very popular in Japan. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Very popular in Japan. Yeah.
Big in Japan.
Big in Japan, literally. Yeah, he was an OG Japanese meme, I guess.
Japanese memes must be so good.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
If only I could.
If only I could read them.
They must be so like concise and like perfectly designed.
Perfectly executed, yeah.
That's like sadly, I mean memes are probably now the easiest, because before it's like, oh, you could kind of get a sense of the culture by like listening to the radio or flipping through the TV. But now like everyone younger than like 35 knows that that's like they're completely removed from that. I think memes are probably the biggest kind of that would provide one the best education into like a different culture that you're like feeling alienated from if you're like someone trying to like learn a new language or something. I bet memes offer a lot of clarification for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I only know English.
Yeah. I know a little bit of Spanish, but yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I know like German from what I remember from high school, but
yeah.
Ich habe eine Pizza. Mein Burger.
Mein Burger, dude. Yeah. What about Minecraft?
Mein Kampf. Just kidding.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Psych. Yeah,
I mean, your doors. Yeah, going back to what we were talking about Death Grips before we just ramble indefinitely about memes, which I could probably do for a few hours. That'd be a good episode.
That'll probably, no matter how the conversation starts with each episode, I imagine it will inevitably descend into like
a little depravity.
The meme of the week.
Yeah, a little chaos. Yeah,
that's okay. That's a structure that one can make do with.
Just making sure all the listeners are caught up to what's happening on the interwebs.
Yeah. The good stuff will be behind the Patreon anyway, so.
Yeah. Subscribe. Subscribe. You want to play Lock Your Doors? So we can maybe visit some tracks?
Yeah.
Maybe go over a couple more here.
Let me pull that up.
Something about the intro and Lock Your Doors really gets me. There's a doomy like a doomy vibe to it. Like it's doom and gloom. Just, I don't know if it's me personally or...
Yeah, I remember.
It's like that.
Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah, it's like that, like droning. Like I think that's an F sharp, just kind of blah, kind of going on in the background.
Yeah.
Over the cheering, kind of. I don't know if it's cheering or screaming. It sounds like a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
But something about that just sets like this really dark, fucked up mood that I love.
Just that too, as like a metaphor too. It's like a kind of like murky blending of like an audience cheering or like a person being murdered. It's that's also kind of a good like symbolic representation of what one will sort of interface with when they listen to most of Death Grip's output.
Yeah. There's like some of that percussive vocal usage again. It's being like instrumentally. I'm gonna rewind it here. Like right here. Yeah.
Yeah. That bangs. Did you when so you know like how the Powers That Be, that's like the double album, and it was kind of like an iterative release with that. They released like the first part, there's niggas on the moon, and then Inwards on the Moon.
Yeah,
and,
I believe that.
And second half is Jenny Death. But one thing I had listened to the instrumental album Fashion Week like quite a bit, but I didn't realize. So each song title, it's like Runway. It's Runway and then a letter. But if you look at it, like you can look at it now on the screen, it says Jenny Death Win. And this was kind of like during the build up to that release of Jenny Death, which was part of the double album. But since we were talking about the the kind of like blurred effect that the vocals have, it's interesting when you kind of strip that away and what they sound like with like no vocal factor. There was a couple hardcore bangers on Fashion Week. Here, let's play a part of this. Runway J, that one. Running to this will make you feel like a sociopath.
Implying I don't already.
And Runway E too is got some great parts.
Oh yeah.
I love that kind of guitar sound in general, but the way it's used on these sort of dancey. I mean, it makes me think of an actual Runway. Like, I don't know the lore on why they made the album, but a lot of it, I just picture a very kind of like couture, like Balenciaga show that's like the kind of like fucked up like Dimna period that everything looks amazing. Like they did that one. Did you ever see the stills from that show where it was like in a big mud pit and like Kanye West walked in it, but it was like kind of the darkest set design, I think, in the Dimna period for Balenciaga. But these songs kind of evoke the visuals of that whole show for me. I think it happened. That was like a
couple of years ago,
COVID era. Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah. I get the vibe.
Just scary, fucked up looking models. Old men.
You know, it's got this kind of like dystopian, I don't want to sound cliche and say like kind of cyberpunk, but it's like a more like raw, less tech worship and more just like human grit element to it, rather than like, dude, we got flying cars and like cool neon colors. It's more like, no, like
it's a world kind of being torn apart.
Yeah,
in some form.
Yeah.
Something that was alive is in the process of being dismantled.
Yeah,
it's like the feeling when I close my eyes. Not in general.
Yeah.
When I listen to this.
Every night when I lay down to go to bed, I feel my world being torn apart.
This is pretty much how I feel. When I sip my morning Joe, it's like...
No talkie until I've had my coffee, please.
Then I smash the cup on my head.
Scream at your spouse. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole album is because sometimes you do just want sans vocals.
Oh yeah, dude. You know me, man. I love my instrumental music. Yeah, some of my favorite bands and artists are instrumental.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever. Let's look at the time here.
Yeah, let's see how far along we've come today.
Yeah, I guess we could call it there.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna. So if you subscribe, you'll get access to the continued conversation. Go to acid.fm, spread the good news, subscribe, rate, review. Yeah, so if you support the Patreon, you'll be able to listen to the rest of what we talk about this time and each week. But yeah, basically just don't do drugs, do acid. What can I say?
Listen to Death Grips.
Yeah.
The awkward closing.
Yeah.